Welcome, Ambassador Azikiwe. You're with the class of 1966, and we're so pleased that you're here today interviewing you. I'm Margaret Frondorf. I'm the Director of SAIS Alumni Relations, and today is October 3rd, 2013. So I just want to ask you a couple of questions about your time at SAIS and your illustrious diplomatic career in Nigeria, and serving your country in so many parts of the world over many, many years. But I'd like to start with SAIS and ask you what brought you to SAIS in 1964. Yes.
Yes, when I was an undergraduate student, I heard a lot about the School of Advanced International Studies and of course other universities, but I felt that perhaps staying in Washington would be ideal if I planned to join the Nigerian Foreign Service. So naturally, SAIS was considered suitable.
And so, a vivid memory of SAIS. Tell me a little bit about what you remember most when you were a student.
Well, I came to SAIS as a very young student, and what amazed me, I was accepted by not just the students, but the staff. Mm-hmm. They were very accommodating. Being the first group of Africans to enroll at SAIS, I felt very much at home. And by the time I left in 1966, I made so many good friends. And I'm glad that they're all doing very well, although majority of them have retired.
And talk a little bit about a favorite professor, maybe a favorite course that you remember.
Well, we used to have Colonel Lineberger, who is now late. He offered us a course on both conventional warfare and psychological warfare, and I was highly impressed with the way he conducted the program. And of course, Dean Wilcox, who was Under Secretary of State under Eisenhower, was more of a specialist on international affairs. He taught us all we knew about United Nations. And I'm glad I was in that class, because I ended up my career in the United Nations of Mission in Geneva.
Can you talk a little bit, well, certainly about your career with the United Nations, but maybe talk a little about right after SAIS. What were the career highlights? Launching your career after SAIS, where did you go? What did you do? How did you get to be involved in your very fine career? What were some of those first steps? I think students always want to know about those first steps, because they always wonder what their first job is going to be. How was that for you?
Regrettably, by the time I left SAIS in 1966, the crisis was just about starting in Nigeria, which eventually led to the Biafran War. So some of us were caught up during the crisis, and I was staying in Biafra until after the war. Thereafter, I joined the Foreign Service of Nigeria.
What was your first post in the Foreign Service?
My first post in the Foreign Service was to an Arab country, Morocco, although Moroccans are more French than Arabs. And I spent 3 years in Morocco from 1972 to 74, where I learned French and a little Arab. And I had the privilege of running the mission as a charge d'affaires, because shortly after I arrived,